stops at the rear of the grid. Now, for round 13, all eyes go to the gantry. There's a 5-second board, first of all, and then the lights will go red. Round 13 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship from Oulton Park is go! Good getaway by Camish. Not a bender start by Chris Smiley, and it's going to be Tom Ingram who leads down towards Old Hall Corner for the first time. Here comes Camish up the inside of Smiley, and he goes through. So Smiley drops to third. It's Sutton fourth, and then as they turn through for the first time, you've got Adam Morgan ahead of Tom Chilton, but a really good getaway by Ingram, and he's already gapped Camish as now Sutton tries to go round the outside of Smiley, and Chris did not get off the line anything like as well as he needed to.
He didn't, and he's been mugged by the two Napa cars at the front. Camish with a good start, and typically Ash Sutton round the outside manoeuvre into Cascades, but Ingram has a little gap already.
So here they come out of the hairpin then, with Josh Cook on the outside being roughed up a little bit. He's getting involved with James Dorlin, Stephen Jelly a bit further back. Ingram leads the way, and then you've got Camish and Sutton running second and third. In fourth place as they drop down towards his lot, it is Chris Smiley, then Morgan, then Chilton, then Cook, elbows out, gets ahead of Dorlin. Good, brave move under braking for his lot. Senna Proctor gets up the inside there. Look at Charles Rainford, and he goes through and roughs up Rainford. He goes out wide. Good move by Proctor. Rainford slots in just ahead of Jane Hill, who is on the move, but look at Ingram go on this first lap. Pushing, pushing, pushing. He's only got 2 laps of boost, and he's trying to build that advantage early on while everybody else squabbles behind him.
Yeah, the other advantage of that extra warm-up lap is the drivers don't have to bring those soft tyres in. Remember, that's the softest compound we race at. Normally they have to be a little bit circumspect, at least on the first lap. None of that on this lap one. Ingram is scalding away.
Absolutely right, as the cars accelerate now up out of Dearly. You're on board with Dan Lloyd, and what sort of a first lap has he had? He's up into 21st place. Max Hall on the inside line. Max stays ahead of him, tucked up behind the two. Gordon Shedden as they accelerate now down towards Cascades once again. This is Daryl De Leon right into the back of Sam Osborne. Bang, bang, forces him wide. Osborne drifts out wide, and De Leon goes through, and also up the inside goes Aidan Moffat, and that was a little bit brutal.
That was, and it's a naughty place to do it because the driver has so little room on the edge of the track before running off wide. Aidan Moffat running a little bit wide there, getting on that damp part of the track. Oh, that's going to spin Osborne round into the barriers. That was Stephen Jelly in the One Motorsport car, just leaning on each other. It looks like they've got away with it relatively lightly, actually.
It is not Sam Osborne's lap, is it? So he's been roughed up at Cascades and duffed up coming out of the hairpin. Here's the replay then. Keep your eyes on the Napa Fords that run through side by side. Jelly gets up the inside.
Yeah, and there's just not room. I mean, they're so tight there because Osborne himself was side by side with Rowbottom.
Safety car deployed, our 7th safety car of the season, partly because of cars in awkward places, although Jelly has got going, but also the barrier, of course, was affected. You saw the Recticel cushioning fall over. So safety car deployed, and this is going to bunch them all up. This ain't great news for Tom Ingram.
It's not great news, but he'll be very pleased with the pace his car has shown in race conditions. Slightly different setup to qualifying, but he'll be very pleased so far, and he'll be pretty confident, I should think, of breaking that gap, opening the gap up again. But yeah, disappointment in terms of he was into his rhythm and he was away, but encouragement for everybody else.
Right, so race order with 2 laps in the book. Tom Ingram is ahead of Dan Camish, Ash Sutton is third, Chris Smiley fourth then, Adam Morgan fifth, then it's Tom Chilton in sixth with Cook, Dorlin, Proctor, Taylor Smith rounding out the top 10. You've got Jake Hill 11th ahead of Charles Rainford, 13th is Mikey Doble. 13th, why do we mention it? Well, he's the best place of those on the harder tyre ahead of Aidan Moffat, and then Daryl De Leon. 16th out of the points at the moment, Dan Rowbottom, second of those on the hard tyre. We're on lap 3. Safety car on track at Oulton Park.
Yeah, Mikey Doble, if you remember at Snetterton, drove a really good race on the hard tyres. He actually did very well. He managed it very well, and he's doing the same thing again here in a very respectable 13th place on the first of the hard tyres. Here's a look at that start again. Ingram hooks it up really well. Not so well Chris Smiley. Camish, who's on the second row, is immediately alongside Smiley, can block him off into Old Hall. And now watch Sutton, because Sutton is getting a run here on Smiley and ends up going around the outside because Smiley defends. This was a brave move by Sutton all the way around the outside. And credit to Chris Smiley, who gives him room. He didn't run him off the road.
So that's the run down to Wyland Bend. This is Ash Sutton's view of the start.
View from the start. Not quite such a rocket ship start we saw from Ash Sutton at Thruxton, but he has a great run. Smiley blocks going into Old Paul, but hanging back and getting a very good run. Look at the exit off the corner. That's what opens up the gap for Sutton on the inside. Smiley thinks he's got this covered on the inside, but Sutton is already ahead onto the braking area and just stays there round the outside. Great start from Camish up into second as well. Look at the track on the right. There's that damp patch. They've all avoided that at the front. There was a little side-by-side further back, but that was a clean first few corners for the front runners.
So that was Ash Sutton's busy first lap. What about Daryl De Leon?
This is from further back. He's just about sort of on the crest of where the road starts to drop down. He's got Dan Rowbottom, who is on the hard tyre. De Leon's on the soft, so should make a better start. And in fact, he uses that extra grip round turn one. Look at the extra grip he's able to exploit over and above Dan Rowbottom on the soft tyres here. The inside is blocked. Does he go to the outside? No, he sits in behind Osborne, at least for this lap. We know on lap 2 there was a touch between those two at that point. Now they're queuing up for the island hairpin, all having to brake a bit early, having a tentative look at the inside where that water is laying down. A little bit of rubbing, that's just concertinaing into the first corner, but it's his teammate coming alongside Aidan Moffat in the other BMW. He should be able to block him out going into the Hislop chicane. In fact, he does. Still got side-by-side actually through there, weren't they? Went through the first part side-by-side. I thought De Leon had blocked him out.
Now, in other news, Finn Leslie has joined the race. Then he's 2 laps down, but a really good effort to get that drive shaft sorted out. So he's in the race. Stephen Jelly has pitted and rejoined. The safety car will be in this time. Lights are out, and so they will head up towards the timing line, and then we can go racing once more. Tom Ingram leads the pack. Safety car Will Bale will go back racing this time. Race will be elongated because of the safety car laps, and Tom Ingram accelerates now past the go board and sprints up towards the timing line. We're back racing. And it's game on behind, look, as they dive down towards Old Hall Corner. Them Smiley to the inside, tries to get alongside Sutton. He also tries to cover off Morgan. There's no shuffle within the top 6, but Josh Cook may well have gone backwards because he was coming under attack from the likes of Dorlin and Proctor as they drop down now towards Cascades. Proctor's got himself ahead of Dorlin, and they're up the inside. Goes through, he's level with Cook, he's ahead of Cook.
Strong racing from Senna Proctor. It's like he's never been away, isn't it? He came back at Thruxton, one of the most difficult circuits you can imagine, qualified the car in the top 6 for the top 6, and he's showing great pace here again this weekend. It's great to have him back in the championship.
You're on board with Aaron Taylor Smith's Toyota, getting a little bit caught up with Charles Rainford over Hilltop. Down they come. Real battle pack going on towards the bottom end of the top 10. That is Cook versus Jake Hill. And Josh flings the car through as Max Hall gets sideways in the background. And I rather fear that he may have got caught up with others. Let's see, because they wriggle their way through. Yeah, he's got big damage. Look, bodywork, broken suspension. And Max Hall is bound for the pits and retirement. So he did get sideways and he did get collected.
Yeah, he may have got sideways because he had that damage already, because the car was on that left side. It's a broken rear toe link, and that's what sent it into giving us a good impression of a rear-wheel drive car doing a power slide. Here we see some, you may see what happened here. This is obviously the blue and yellow car is Hall on the right-hand side, and I think there's a touch there.
Yes.
That's the touch that broke the toe link.
And that was his teammate, Dexter Patterson. And remember what happened between the two of them at Brands Hatch. They fell out and they made contact here as well. Right. Fly on the wall in that garage must be interesting later on. Dexter Patterson has pitted, and Max Hall's heading that way as well. 16 laps, by the way, the race will be because of the safety car period. Josh Cook's really struggling here, isn't he? That one Motorsport Honda is going backwards, and there's been a bit of a rub, we understand, on that previous lap that's delayed him as well. But Ingram right now is getting away. He's 11 tenths up the road, and he's set the fastest lap of the race. Yeah,
he's back ahead again, over a second away. Fastest lap, as you say, so he's rebuilt that gap he had before the safety car.
Battle on lower down the field. Look, as James Dorlin comes down towards his lot, he has got Cook behind him, then Rainford. There is Aaron Taylor Smith keeping Aidan Moffat behind him. Then you've got Mikey Doble, and Mikey Doble is still the best of those on the hard tyre, trying to get those out of the way, and then he can build his day accordingly. Let's have a look at Josh Cook. He gets involved there, look, with the Toyota. They survive it, but that was a little bit touch and go. Was that the James Dorlin car? I think it was.
Yeah, that was a nasty moment there. That one of them or both of them had to back out of that, or they'd have been in the pit wall. But trouble in the pit lane. Obviously, Max Hall coming in with that broken rear suspension. I think they'll take their time to fix that. I don't think he'll be back out initially.
So he missed, didn't he, 2 races at Thruxton because of damage, and took a great start to the day here. So Max Hall's very tough season continues as Ingram leads.
And Camish sets the fastest lap on that last race. So has he stymied the gap? Has he managed to hold it at just under a second for that fastest lap?
This is Aaron Taylor-Smith's view, and right now you're in 12th place, going after Charles Rainford, and the Toyota looking quick coming out of Cascades. Aaron Taylor-Smith then possibly with a little bit of boost, gets up towards the back of the BMW, but Rainford comes off the inside line, uses lots of curb, and that sends him out wide. And Aaron Taylor-Smith tries to get up the inside, but the BMW's got the drive off the corner.
Well, BMW's got the rear end grip. He went in a little bit quick there and on the defensive line, which meant he ran a little bit wide mid-corner, and the Toyota was able to get a little bit underneath him, but the rear-wheel drive BMWs came off the corner so well, he wasn't able to take advantage of it.
We're getting a battle developing a long way back now, the best of those on the hard tyre, because Mikey Doble and Dan Rowbottom are now pretty much together in the queue. So if you keep an eye in the background for the Vauxhall Astra, it may even be that Mikey Doble has lost the place coming out of Knickerbrook Corner on this lap. Try and double check when the cars come back into view, dropping down towards Lodge Corner, and there Napa Racing Ford is ahead, and up the inside line goes Dan Lloyd as well. So Rowbottom leads the class, if you like, for those on the hard tyre, and Dan Lloyd splits them. So now Lloyd knocking on the door of points from very nearly last on the grid. So you've now got Rowbottom in 15th and Lloyd on the soft tyre behind it, 16th, and looking to improve on that. Daryl De Leon, meanwhile, has been busy. This was him getting past Doble. Knock, knock, into the back, down towards Island Bend. That sends the Vauxhall wide.
Yeah, through he goes. But on that last lap, Ingram absolutely smashed the lap record. It's a new lap record of 24.0, and that's 1.3 seconds quicker than the previous lap record. More importantly, it was 4.5 tenths quicker than Dan Camish behind. So, wow, Ingram lit the blue touch paper on that lap.
He has used one of his 2 laps of boost, but it was worth doing, presumably, to build that gap. He keeps one in reserve, the other lap in reserve, to the end of the race. That's Lloyd ahead of Rowbottom now, so that is for 15th place. That's a point, so that's significant. Okay, soft shot car ahead of Hard, no real surprise, but Dan Lloyd coming up from the back of the grid. Good work, and here from every angle is the move.
Yeah, you've got all 4 options there, haven't you? On board, looking at the face of Dan Lloyd, look at the concentration. He glances in the mirrors, looks ahead, looking at a great late braking manoeuvre there, really good, and he managed to make the corner cleanly. But yeah, it shows the power of that boost when it's applied by Tom Ingram, because that really stretched the gap out, didn't it? Now, on this lap, he hasn't used it, and he's 8 tenths of a second slower.
Have a look at this for second place, because now, look, Camish is coming under attack from Ash Sutton, and if they start squabbling, that's going to bring Chris Smiley back into the mix as well. Chris Smiley, don't forget, is still leading the independence competition against the cars ahead of him being in the manufacturers part of the championship through the hairpin. So second, third, fourth, getting themselves together. Okay, that battle between the Napa Fords that's building up helps Smiley because he's going to catch. But who else does it help? It helps Tom Ingram, who's going to build the lead yet further, and he's already 2.7 seconds up the road.
Yeah, he's gone, but of course Smiley does have more boost available to him.
Dawling off. Josh Cook trying to find a way past him and gets up the inside at Knickerbrook. James Dawling sticks out his elbows, and the Toyota just about fends off the Honda. This is for 9th place. James Dawling, in his rookie season of touring car racing, doesn't drive like one. That was a very robust defence when he managed to get himself back on the tarmac.
Yeah, get back on and defend. Cookie really, I think, backed out of it, saved contact. Here we see the replay of the rejoin straight in front. Cook was unsure which way to go, had to back out a little bit, and although Dawling left a bit of room on the inside, Cookie's momentum was gone.
James Dawling across the grass, some of that grass in the front of the car, is that going to affect him much?
I had a look, and the first thing I looked at, and it didn't look too much grass, in fairness. I think he's okay.
Fingers crossed for the Toyota squad on home ground. Meanwhile, here you've got Adam Morgan 5th and Tom Chilton 6th, and Senna Proctor 7th. Different livery, same team, all out of the Team Virtue stable. And here comes Chilton in the Rumble turquoise car, up on the back of Morgan. So this is 3/4 of Team Verti all in a line. The other member cleared off into the distance. The lead gap is now 2 seconds because last time it was a really slow lap by Ingram. It was a 25.4 against a 24.7 for Camish.
Yeah, but I think he's managing that gap. It's 2 seconds. He's just managing it.
Chilton around the outside, up the inside at part 2 of his lots. Nicely done.
Very nicely done. Cleanly between the teammates, as we expect. What will Senna Proctor do? He'll be fairly robust. We know how he likes to charge, but we've got a lot of Hyundais, haven't we, up the front of this field.
Senna Proctor on a charge, of course, returning to the championship. His father Mark raced in the BTCC. And if you were here in 1984, you'd have seen Senna's grandfather, Tony, rallycrossing his Cosworth engine Ford Capri around here as well. So, third generation Proctor racer at Oulton Park, and he's right there on the tail of Adam Morgan, who comes now out of Lodge, up Deer League. Tom Chilton edging the way. Remember, Chilton's been a race winner this year. Adam Morgan had a spin in qualifying yesterday. On board with Daryl De Leon, and there's a real scrum going on ahead of him as he comes up towards the line, because as they break the beam there, Aidan Moffat, Aaron Taylor-Smith together, and it's Moffat just ahead of ATS going into Old Hall, but Aidan Moffat gets a bit crossed up. He hangs on to it, but that was quite a wild ride. Yeah, he took that inside curve and just launched the car a little bit. Up the front, there has been a change at the front in that Smiley has dropped back from the Camish-Sutton battle. He's suddenly 1.3 seconds behind. Absolutely right. So up front it's still Ingram. As contact turns Smith around, and that in turn puts him into the side of the BMW, and Aidan Moffat is the one that came off worst. 3 into 1 did not go. Yeah, well, that was never going to work, but it ended up with the BMW taking out the other BMW who was the innocent victim. And it helps Dan Lloyd, doesn't it? Because that's another place game for Dan Lloyd. So he now will be up the order. Go on.
Here we see it coming into shot, I think, at the bottom of the shot, and there it is. The BMW tags the Toyota. Is this the onboard? This is onboard De Leon. Look, he just tags Taylor-Smith. He can't brake, and Taylor-Smith then fires into the other BMW, and through goes De Leon. But that was definitely caused by De Leon, and I think he'll get a penalty for that.
And that's not his only little bit of contact in the race, is it? We've talked about a few others. So here, side by side, Cook versus Dorlin. Cookie at the inside, brakes ludicrously late. You see the car quivering as he brakes for the corner, throws it into Old Hall. Job done, nicely done as well. So that's Josh Cook 9th then. He'd love to be higher up the order, but he is racing as hard as ever. And you forget sometimes because he's not fighting for race wins this season yet, but Josh Cook is very much a class act.
Absolutely, he knows how to race, and he's racing very hard and very strong. Although that car's been attacked from the lights going out right until now, so I'd be amazed if his geometry is all straight in the right place, but he's making it work for him, isn't he?
There must be a big magnet in there somewhere that's attracting all that working cars around him. Now they come in towards his lot. Cook late on the brakes, deep in he goes. That both being caught, look now, by Charles Rainford's BMW there. Don't forget, he's another rookie like James Dorlin ahead, and Dorlin's car stepped out over the curb and got a bit ragged, but he survives it, although Cook now gets away by a couple of lengths up the hill.
Yeah, Cookie's car really moving around. You saw coming that chicane, he was on maximum load, a lot of understeer going in because he carried so much speed, but he managed to make it round and get a good exit up the hill, crucially.
Over the line in the meanwhile goes Tom Ingram ahead of Dan Camish, ahead of Ash Sutton, and it's game on for 4th. Look, Smiley versus Chilton. So it's a Hyundai fight, the independent one ahead of the works cars, and Smiley hops over the curb, wanting points in the independents, but he'd love to end the day with some good podium results outright, but he's under attack here.
Yeah, Chilton is the quickest of this group, isn't he? Because he's already gone past Morgan, and remember Proctor was on the back of that group. He's dropped off a little bit, and so there's some variance in the performance. Smiley's dropping back, Proctor's dropped back a bit, but Chilton is definitely the quickest of these Hyundais.
And Dan Lloyd, 13th, having started 24th. On a track at which it's tough to overtake. Here he is, and he's looking to try to gain another place. Look, coming out of Island Bend, back onto the power. So Dan Lloyd looking to get past Daryl De Leon, who has been oh so physical in this race, but Lloyd's got track position. It was this part of the racetrack he had a sizable accident, don't forget, a good few years ago. But he's ahead and nicely done as he dives into his lots. Dan Lloyd, 24th, now up to 12th.
Yeah, and in the hard tyre race, Dan Rowbottom is holding 15th place, Domal 17th, and Sam Osborne 20th.
Rowbottom, though, has had a driving standards flag for track limit warnings, so if he transgresses again, a penalty will come. Proctor's also had a driving standards flag now, so some of them need to be careful. The laps are ticking on down. Tom Ingram has just gone across the line. He leads the way. Get back. Second is Dan Camp. Third is Ash Sutton. Thinking about points. Fourth is Chris Smiley, who now looks like he's shaken off the Chiltern charge.
Yeah, it does look like it temporarily, maybe, but certainly. And this is, I think, how they're using their boost. Where Camish has a wobble going round Cascades that allows Sutton to close. Yeah, I think the gaps opening and closing are just people are using the boost.
Yeah.
We can't see on our graphic when they're using the boost, but I think it's fairly clear on the evidence of the gaps when they're using it.
Don't forget, Sutton only has one lap of boost available to him, so he's saving that for late race. But it does put into context just how well he is going, how good that car is, because he's third on pure pace and racecraft. He hasn't had to use the extra boost. Same true of Ingram, 2 laps only available to him. Dan Camish, remember, has got 4 laps, and Chris Smiley had the maximum 8, but just can't quite get himself back onto terms with those Napa Racing UK Fords as they head up the hill once more. This is lap number 14. It's a 16-lap race now.
Yeah, behind them, the gap, the Smiley, Chilton, Morgan, Hyundai battle, they're all using their boost on this lap. But in fact, of them, Morgan has the most. He's 3 of his 6 laps left. Smiley's already used 6 of his 8.
Race leaders go through, as there is Jake Hill getting up the inside of Senna Proctor for 7th place. So that's BMW moving ahead of Hyundai. The reigning champion goes by and slots himself into 7th spot. Over the timing line he goes. You see just over the pit wall that black and white diagonal driving standards flag being shown to a number of them. But Jake Hill going nicely now. Yeah,
Jake Hill not where he would want to be. He's had a almost lonely race, hasn't he, in 7th place. He's now getting amongst those Hyundais, but there's so many of them. Ingram, Smiley, Chilton, Morgan, Proctor, all in Hyundais in the top 8.
So Tom Ingram, fastest lap of the race, point. Pole position yesterday, point. The only driver to lead over the line, a point. And then set potentially for a race win. And another bag full of points for that. Perfect start to the day.
And the gap was 9 points, remember, coming into this race. And Sutton is being denied 2nd place points by the very fast Dan Camish. So that will, as you say, the points gap will be very close.
This would be win number 35 of Tingham's career, if works as he wants it to, and we're only a couple of laps away, as now Chilton gets himself back onto the tail of Chris Smiley's Hyundai. From Anthony Carrick-Fergus just ahead of Chilton then, as they head once again down into Lodge Corner. Chilton thinks about a move.
And look how they've caught Sutton.
Yeah.
They have really caught Sutton. So Sutton's pace has dropped off, whether that's just using the tyres up a bit too much. But look, he's dropped off. England's got this race under control. Camish a comfortable 2nd. Sutton's dropped away nearly into the clutches of the Hyundais. But remember, Sutton only had 1 lap to use his boost. So the others all had more. So there's still a battle on here, potentially for 3rd place, certainly for 4th.
Look back from Sutton's 3rd place forward, Smiley behind, coming out of Cascades, and now along Lakeside Straight. This is the last lap, so if Smiley wants an outright podium, he's got about half a lap in which to challenge. They all concertina, because as Smiley closes, he brings Chilton with him, but Smiley now gets on the boost coming out of the corner. He's up the inside, Sutton gives him room, but Sutton got a problem, because it's either the boost or, just the boost, I think, because he gave Smiley lots of room and then slots back in behind. I think Ash Sutton, more than anything there, realised which battle he needed to fight.
Yeah, and it clearly hasn't. Normally he leaves, doesn't he, his boost lap for the last lap, but it would appear he hasn't got any.
So Smiley gets ahead, Sutton then slots in behind him and defends from Tom Chilton, but Chris Smiley then is up into 3rd place and therefore set not only to win the independents for Peter Jones's Restart Racing team, but also to have an outright podium. So down they come towards Lodge Corner. This would be Chris Smiley's best finish of the season, but it's going to be a win for Tom Ingram there, who crosses the line. Tom Ingram wins at Oulton Park, a 35th win of his career. 2nd will be Dan Camish. Chris Smiley takes 3rd, then it's Sutton across the line ahead of Chilton and Morgan and Hill to round out the top 7. Senna Proctor is 8th, 9th is Josh Cook, 10th is James Dorlin.